Okay, so we're going to take a look at hiding items inside a block. Now, we couldn't do this with some of these because they're solid. So what we need to do is if we put an item or an entity of any description within that block, we cause a big problem in that the entity is stuck inside a brush. Now, if you have any entity or anything cutting into any other brush, you're going to cause yourself big problems. It's just like placing a weapon or an item sticking through the floor or touching it. Now, what I say by touching it is touching it so, I mean, I'll give you an example. So it's kind of touching it. No, that's cutting through it. I want to show you this, and it's difficult. So what I'll do. So it's lined up, so you get that sort of effect. If that happens, your entity is definitely in the wrong place, and that's going to cause all sorts of problems. So you've got to be very careful. So what we'll do is we'll look at a block over here, one I prepared earlier. Now this contains a hidden item, and if I go inside the block, you can see that it's actually been hollowed. Now if you hollow the block and then add a funk explosive to it, it's going to be difficult because you've got to select each individual face of the block and make sure you've got them all and set them all to explosive. The best way to do this kind of thing is if you're going to make any sort of crate or box that you want to be able to hide an item or ammo inside, which is a very good thing. You know, you can create a box that looks like an ammo crate, and then when someone blows it up, there's ammo inside. Very cool effect to do. So we're going to look at that. What we'll do is we'll set this block here to funk explosive, and I'll show you how to add the item in. So we select our block, making sure we'll press escape a couple of times just to make sure that we don't have anything else selected. I think that's enough. We'll select this block and we'll right click and choose funk explosive, and then we can do what we need to do in the entities, add health, add target sounds and things like that. Then all we need to do is hit the hollow button, and all of them will be set on all the other brushes. What I mean there, for example, is if you were to set the whole block, let's just see, you set the whole block as funk explosive and it's solid, and then you hollow it out, all of these brushes will be set with the properties that you set earlier on, and all of these are different brushes now. It's all been split up. Now you can change one and it should change. What I'd like to do ideally is if I was going to set up a block, I don't want to confuse you here, so I'm going to say how I would do it. If I was going to make a block explosive, I'd do it while it was solid, set all of my different keys in here, health, mass, and things like that, any target names. Then once that's been done, then I would go and hollow the item, just so that everything is uniform throughout the entire entity itself. So let's set some health values. We'll give it a health of 200, and we'll give it a mass of 300, and finally we'll target it so that it will play the rotate noise. As we remember from earlier, the rotate noise is set in these target speakers so that it will play the Tetris rotate noise. We'll see there that the target name for this is rotate. Very simple. Then once we've got everything set, then go ahead and hollow the brush, because you know everything's done. I mean, most of these are all pretty similar anyway. Again, 200 health, 300 mass, and a target of rotate. So you know, you don't really need to just set them up first and then hollow them out and do whatever. You know, just set them uniform so you're happy with them, then hollow it out, then put your items in, because you don't want to be setting different faces with different values, etc., etc. Although they're all tied to one entity, you don't want to get confused and bogged down in details. So what we'll do now is we'll put an entity or an item inside the map, and we'll look over here. We'll zoom in. I'm having awful problems with my mouse wheel recently. I think I need to clean it or something. It's sort of when I push it up to zoom in, it zooms out at the same time. It's weird. So what we'll do is we'll add an item in. We'll do item, no sorry, we'll do weapon, hyper blaster. And what we'll do is we'll drag that into the center there, and then we'll drag it into the center here. It doesn't matter really where we put it because it will drop to the next surface. Obviously we couldn't put it up on top because the weapon would drop down onto here, it wouldn't be hidden inside the box. So we just need to put it inside the box, maybe in the center, and then when the game loads it will drop it to the floor inside the box, so you don't need to worry so much about anything. And that's basically hiding the item inside the box. Very simple to do, and you can do that with multiple things. You can do it with health, ammo, any entity or collectible item you can do that with. So experiment a little bit and do whatever you need to do. And the same goes for creating walls that need to be exploded. For example, these glass panes, you can see that one explodes and that one explodes. You can tell that because these have lines coming off them because they're targeted to other things. And behind the glass we actually have these items. We have an armor over here, so we've got item armor combat. Then a little bit further down we've got a health large, and then down here we've got armor shards, and then right down at the bottom, right down at the bottom we have shells. So you know, they're then protected through these glass panels, so they have to be shot out. So the good thing about explosive brushes and things like that is they can really change the dynamics of a map very quickly, and it actually does become a distraction to me personally, because I know blocks blow up and I go around in this map and start shooting blocks rather than players and wonder why I end up with an awful score at the end. But that just goes to show you what you can do. I mean, you can even build walls and use clipping tools, etc., and build it so that it looks like there's a small crack in the wall, so when someone shoots at it, it blows that wall through, and then people can use that to walk through. Now, one question I always get asked about these blocks, since this has been released, I've had quite a few questions from the people who are just getting into mapping who've been watching these tutorials, so thanks for watching them first, by the way, is will these blocks respawn after a will they reform after a given time? So you can blow them up, grab the item, and then it will respawn. The answer to that is no. You could possibly do it in other ways. The box, the Funk Explosive, doesn't have a flag that it will automatically return to a set state after a given time. There is other entities you can use to put new blocks in their place, but it becomes messy, and it's not something really that I wanted to look at personally in this map. But it's something that you may want to do some reading around on tutorials. We're not going to cover that in this tutorial set. But to be honest, when a crate is blown up anyway, it's best that you don't have to go back and blow it up, because chances are people are going to know about it anyway, and it makes for an interesting game when you blow up the block because you want to vaporize it and you grab it, and then all of a sudden everyone's grabbed it. So it makes it very interesting indeed. Right, so over the last couple of videos we've looked at triggers, we've looked at target speakers, and we've also looked at trigger push, and finally Funk Explosive. Now go and have a play. Go and have a play. Be careful. Don't try and make a big map straight out. Maybe draw a small room, set certain things to explosive, use different triggers to set things off. These don't have to be shot at. You can set up a button as a trigger to explode this block. There's a good example of that in Mega Kill. I'm not going to tell you where it is because it's a hidden feature within the map that you have to find at game time, and I'd like you to find it rather than me telling you about it. Nick would chop my head off if I went and told people where it was. He wouldn't be very happy. So go and have a play now, and I'll catch up with you in the next video. Best thing to do when watching these videos is watch the video. Go out and try what you've just seen. Have a go, see if you run into any problems, have a Google, look on the Alien Arena forums, and just look around before asking a question, because your question may have already been answered. If not, feel free to pop a comment down below this window, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. Or you can drop into the channels that are displaying on your screen right now. Right, thanks very much. I'll see you in the next part of the tutorial.